Hey everybody. I'm someone that looks at a lot of politics, whether it's the Republicans, the Democrats, and I actually have an interesting view on what happened in Indiana. I think they were doing redistricting or something like that. But whether you agree with the decision or not, I applaud what happened in Indiana as far as I think they were trying to redistrict some areas with the map and things like that. But actually, I applaud some of those politicians that, sort of rejected what Trump wanted to do. And the reason why is because the Republican Party, if the Republican Party is going to, be strong, they've got to get to the point where they're not agreeing with everything Donald Trump wants them to agree with. Like, I'm finally, happy that some of these politicians are getting a mind of their own, because, just being in lockstep with someone, and, even though what they're doing isn't right, or even when, that policy isn't good for your community or neighborhood, and just saying, well, what, Trump wants this, so I have to do it. It's like, things don't work like that. I mean, in even if they did in America, it's just like there's a reason why there's checks and balances in American politics. And this whole thing where everyone has to agree with everything Trump does or says, it's crazy. Like, folks have a mind of their own. And I did vote for Donald Trump in 2024 over Kamala, but that doesn't mean that I'm some zombie that, if Trump says the sky is orange, I have to say, oh, the sky's orange. And so I'm happy that some politicians on the Republican side are growing a spine. And again, you want Donald Trump to get his agenda through, and you want him to be able to get certain laws passed and things like that. But he's not correct about everything. Like, he's not a king, he's not God. And so there's things that, even though people support Donald Trump, there's people who say, well, you know what, I don't think we should be going to war, I don't think we should be doing this with the economy. And I think that's good. You don't want, somebody to be up there and almost be like a dictator where everything they say, people have to follow. And so, I'm happy that, the politicians in Indiana did what they did. And I hope more politicians, Republicans and Democrats, just stand up. Like, you don't have to, believe and follow everything, that he says or wants you to do. And that's just common sense. I think the Republican Party, if the Republican Party, keeps on making dumb decisions and thinking, well, you know what, we can overturn this and we can do this and we can do that because we're elected, people are going to get tired of the Republican Party. And it's happening right now. And you look at what's happening in Miami when they had a Democrat that won. You look at what's happening in some of these states that normally Republicans would win in with some of these elections, and folks are rejecting, some of the Republican ideas. I mean, even, did you see the president, how he called affordability? He's calling it a hoax, and, oh, this is something the Democrats, keep on talking about. Well, what's wrong with that? Like, if you get out of your bubble, Donald Trump, you'll realize that, not everybody's a billionaire. And there's folks that can't afford groceries, and there's folks that, do need help and assistance with food and things like that. And so, when he walks around and, thinks that Republicans should go around and say, oh, well, affordability is a hoax, like, that's crazy. Like, to even, say that during to even like say that to the American people is insane. And to want Republicans to, follow that talking point of, oh, well, affordability is something, that word is something Democrats are coming up with and all this other stuff. It's like, it's insane. Like, to tell somebody that, is having a hard time paying their bills that, affordability right now is something that's made up. And so, again, I listened to him, and there's a lot of things where he's just out of touch, especially with the economy. Like, I remember before how this was going to be a golden era or golden age and all this other stuff, and he was going to fix these problems in no time flat. And it's just like, that's not happening. And it's if the Republicans were smart, they would sit up and, I don't know, maybe do a forum or something, but actually start talking with regular everyday Americans. Like, that's what Donald Trump should be doing. Like, going to DC and then going back to Mar-a-Lago on the weekends and then going back to DC. He's in a bubble where, to be honest, when I hear him talk, it's like he almost doesn't know what's going on. And so, some of the things he's saying on affordability and different things like that, it's like, just, it's insane. But again, let me know how you feel about, the politicians in Indiana standing up. And then also just let me know, your feelings on Donald Trump and the economy. Like, I think, Republicans are making a lot of big mistakes when it comes to the economy. And that's just my opinion. But, like I said, who knows? It's still early in his term as president. So just let me know how you feel about those two issues. Thank you.